It's actually quite odd, isn't it, that the US dollar is weakening so much this year, despite the fact that the Fed already has a huge head start on all those other central banks. And not only that, but the Fed's degree of aggression, if you like, for this year is scheduled to be much stronger than elsewhere. The ECB's moves will be tentative by comparison, whereas the Fed is likely to give us 3 more hikes. And yet the US dollar is weakening. So what we think is happening and what's driving euro dollar higher is the positioning argument is working out in the euro's favour. So the market has been selling euros for essentially 7 years since the sovereign debt crisis erupted. That was followed by negative interest rates, that was followed by QE, and in that time there has been an exodus of real money investors from the eurozone. And now that the circumstances are starting to change, that Europe is starting to enjoy a cyclical recovery, we're starting to see the euro benefit from that, even though the ECB's moves are quite tentative relative to elsewhere in the world.
How significant is it, Gareth, that we've seen a relative radio silence from the ECB on the appreciation of the euro?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, because one thing that stood out to me in their minutes released last week was that they no longer see a need for an easing of financial conditions. They didn't mention the euro by name, but financial conditions in ECB lingo is code for the combination of bond yields and the currency. And that to me suggested they're no longer calling for a weaker currency. They don't see the need for it. And some of the more hawkish members of the ECB would certainly like a stronger currency to help offset some of the excessive easing, as they would see it, from the QE programme. And let's not forget that the ECB have effectively locked themselves into doing QE until September, even though some would argue that there's no need for that, and a stronger currency will help offset some of that.